Let's go ahead and have our pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
John Foster,
Here.
Jim Stearns,
Here.
John Ellis,
Here.
Randy Quart,
Here.
and Craig Berry.
Here. So tonight's workshop is to discuss the local levy option. And at this point, I'd like to turn it over to the chief.
Thank you, John. So thank all of you for being here on such short notice. I am up against a hard deadline on Friday, so we have to make some decisions this week. And so that's why I had to ask you to meet with me tonight. Does everybody in the back have a board packet? We have some on the table there if you want one. You follow through it with me. So I'm going to look at page 2 on your board packet first. The workshop packet. These are important dates. The first date we have to be concerned about is August 15th. That's the ballot title filing deadline that I have to submit. So that's this Friday. I'm going to need to know what the amount that the board decides on the local option levy is. And then the next date that is of concern to us is September 8th. So if anybody who wants to put a statement in the voters pamphlet, September 8th is the date that you have to get it to Jackson County. And if you look at page 3 of your board packet, you'll see the form that I prepared. This is the SEL 805. It's the request for ballot title, and I worded it the best I could. It's been checked by our attorney. I put everything in there except for dollar amounts, which I can add later. So I'm just pausing it. Is there any questions or concerns about the wording on it? Okay. Then I want to continue to page 4 of your board packet. Now I'm going to bombard you with numbers. No, I promise you I won't do that. There's a lot of information on this page here. I'm going to just kind of walk you through the overview of it. And please feel free to stop me, ask me questions, make me back up. I'm here to provide you with information. So if you need me to answer a question, don't hesitate to ask a question. So this is,
We have a question.
Back up for a minute.
Yes.
On the request for ballot title. I don't know what it is, which one's the ballot, which one's the thing we're supposed to look at.
okay, so page 3 is the form that I have to send to Jackson County Elections
Okay, so
Office.
it says summary.
Yeah, so the summary is just the narrative of what we're asking the voters to consider.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Yes, ma'am.
So on page 3 as well, so it says Rogue River Rural Fire Protection District. So is the district, I mean, Rogue River is very small, but we have Weimer and West and Ward Creek and with it. So does your district cover all of that?
No, it just covers this district, which is 77 square miles.
In rough terms, it goes from the county line to Gold Hill.
Yeah.
And from Rogue River Highway on the other side to about halfway to Weimer.
It's pretty close to the map behind him.
Yeah.
Even though our ambulance service covers a much broader area, it's a bigger area, but.
So the
fire
ambulance service is
district-
different than the fire.
Yes, that is
Correct.
confusing at times.
The ambulance service covers 200 square miles.
Just another device. So Gold Hill is going to be taking that bridge out either in 2026 or 2027. Is Rogue River going to be providing that more, not better, but more service because it's going to come a lot farther to come from Central Point to
The fire chief of Jackson County Fire District 3 and the administrator of Mercy Flights mentioned that to me. We're gonna work out an agreement to respond into that area, and we haven't worked out the details, but yeah, we'll be getting there before they. Okay, I'm on page 4 of your board packet. So the way I went about this was I am trying to determine our budget situation moving forward. And in order to do that, I looked backwards 5 years and established averages. And then I took those averages and applied them going forward. So that's kind of the process that I went through. So what you have here is audited numbers from 2019 to 2024 for receipts and disbursements. So on the left side of the page, you'll see some red numbers that go down the page 1 through 6. I'm going to refer you to those numbers from time to time to keep us all on the same line. So the first number is number 1. That's the property tax line. If you look all the way over to the right, you'll see that from 2019 to 2024, we averaged a 4.65% increase per year.
And just for my clarification, that is all property taxes. So that's general fund, that's capital fund, that's our bond levy, our current bond levy all together, correct?
This includes all three.
Thank you.
Then if you go down the page and include the other things that we receive money on, you come to line 2, and that drops the average to 3.93%. But I want to bring us to the next line, which is line 3. We get a lot of grant money, and if you include grant money and donation money, it really skews things. So I did this exercise again, and I took out grant money and donation money. So that's what you see on line 3. And going all the way to the right column on line 3, you see that we average 4.94% increase annually for revenue. If you continue down the page to disbursements, let's just go down to line 6.
Right. How did you do that? I'm looking at 2.4, 3.1, 2.7, 2.7, 3.0, and 3.0.
I'm not.
How did you get a 4.94 annual increase? I mean, just the math, how do you do that?
I entered the first and the last number into a online calculator and got the percent increase, and then I divided it by 1, 2,
I got
3,
you.
4,
Okay.
5.
Okay.
So that's percent per year. So this is average percent per year.
Okay.
Okay, and then I did the same thing as far as I got rid of, so I'm talking about line 6 now. Minus grant money spent and carried forward. On line 6, our average increase per year is 7.1%. So we're going to work with the number on line 3, which is our average increase of receipts, and the number on line 6, which is the average increase of our disbursements, and you can already see the problem. Our expenses are going up faster than our receipts. So I'm ready to go to the next page, but I want to pause for a second. If you want to process everything I just gave you.
Where's the GEMT money in our receipts?
Charges for service.
No, that's money coming to us. Is that under charges for service?
Yes.
Between the ambulance?
Okay, now I'm moving to page 5.
Are you good, Jim?
Yep.
Calculate.
Okay, I'm good.
On page 5, what I did was I took the average percentages that we just came up with, and I applied those moving forward to try to project our budget situation. So I want to move down to, we're not going to talk about the top 2 rows because they include grant money and they're very misleading. So let's go to the 3rd row. That's called receipts minus grants and donations. We're going to apply 4.94% annually.
Wait, can I stop just a second?
Mhm.
Just so you folks know why we're not including our grants and everything, the grants are not a guaranteed income base. They only last for a short duration and they either require match money or they're a form of income that is not a reliable, it's not a continuous type of income. So that's why we're not including them into our budget.
Thank you.
Okay. So looking at the receipts line, I'm on the 3rd row down. This gives you our projected revenue per year through 2030. The line below that is our disbursements minus grant money. That gives you our disbursements per year through 2030. And then the next line down, the blue line, called the difference, gives you the difference between the revenue and our disbursement. I had to start with year 2024 because it's the last year that I have audited numbers. So if you go to 2025, you see that we're $87,000 ahead. If you go to 2026, you see that we're $24,000 ahead. If you go to 2027, you see that we go negative. And then that negative number gets worse every year after. What did they do?
Oh, never mind. I mean, you're right.
So again, the blue line that we call difference is the difference between our receipts and our disbursements. We're showing it there per year. These are projected numbers. And these are the numbers that we anticipate if we keep the local option levy at 50 cents, which is where it's currently at. If we do that, we go negative in 2 years. I'm not allowed to do deficit spending, so we can't go negative. So we have to balance the budget some way, and that would result in a reduction in service. So moving down the bottom of the page, which says local option levy increase option. What we did was we took the local option levy. We figured out potential increases starting at 10 cents and going up to 25 cents. And actually I go up to 30 cents on another one. And we figured out how much money that would give us per year.
Starting number is 50 cents.
So 50 cents is represented by the blue difference line. That's 50 cents. So if you go down to local option levy increase options, that 10 cents would actually be a 60 cent local option. So that's in addition to the 50. Okay, now I'm moving to page 6 of your board pack. So the question is, how much do we have to increase the local option levy and remain solvent? And for what period of time? So what I did on this page was I figured out our net position each year between 2026 and 2030 as a result of increases in the levy from 10 cents to 30 cents. And then I added those numbers together and I got our net position in 2030. So if we look at our net position in 2030, if we add 10 cents to the local option levy, we're still in the hole $218,000. If we add 15 cents, we're in the hole 15,000. If we add 20 cents, I said that wrong. If we add 15 cents, we're to the good $15,000. If we add 20 cents, we're to the good $249,000. 25 cents is $483,000, and 30 cents is $716,000. Well, that's basically the information that I have for you. Unless you have questions. Or unless there's other things you want.
I didn't track with you on this last one. I see your net position in 2030 at the bottom in red.
Okay.
Then tell me what's going on with each of the years. I see 6, 7, 8, 9, and 30 with negative numbers. And a negative number on our net position. Right?
Yeah, so each year affects each additional year. Because like the money that I don't spend this year, we take to next year. So we have to figure each year during the term of the levy. So net position each year, based on those increases that you see, the green line at the top, this would be the net position for that year. So,
Okay, so let's just run down that first line.
Okay.
And in year 2030, you're gonna be 218,629. Short,
short, yes.
but yet it says down at the bottom, our net position in 2030 is 218,359.
Yeah, that's the sum of those five numbers above it.
Okay,
So I added the 112 to 43, the minus 34, the minus 121, and the minus 218.
okay, so then going to the last line, we get, I see you added all those together, then subtracted 20,326.
Theoretically, would it be the cash
We get the
carryover?
716,857. Yeah, so
Yes,
if I added 20,326 to that 71 or 716,857, I would get the sum of those five numbers, correct?
if you start at the top of that column and you add 288, 224,
Right.
152, 71, and subtract 20, you're gonna get 716.
Yeah.
857. The reason that I did it that way is because every year affects every other year. So.
Okay.
So, some additional information. Let's say we increase the levy by 15 cents, and this information is not on your, I didn't give you this in your packet. If we increase it 15 cents, if your house is worth $300,000, that would cost you $45 a year
Additional.
additional, over and above But right now, we're at $2.68. So if we add 15 cents, it would cost you $45 per year. Pardon me?
So that's reasonable.
If we add 20 cents, it would be an additional $60 per year. If your house is worth 300,000. If we add 25 cents, it would be an additional $75 per year. And if we add 30 cents, it would be an additional $90.
It's been,
So there are currently, Habitat is almost finished with theirs. There are currently 2 other developments that are going to bring in approximately 40 houses into the city. Did you, when you figured that, how did you, on the property tax, did you figure what those extra 40 houses might, how that might change the numbers at all?
I don't really have any way to do that. But what I did do was I figured out, because there has been growth going backwards too. And the average growth in the last 4 years is about 4.9%. So that's the number I used going forward.
Just so you know that there are 2 right now, the one on West Evans,
Yeah,
it's gonna be like 20 some houses, and the one on Foothill is gonna be another 20. So there was a potential, permits are in place for a growth of 40 new houses this coming.
yeah. And we welcome that.
Yes.
But it's worth noting, how did we get here? The biggest reason that we got here is because this community is mostly a retirement community, pretty geriatric population, and the people that live here don't want it to grow. I live here also. I understand that. I don't really want it to grow that much either. In addition to that, we have very little industry here. We have the mill and the ice plant, and that's about it. So when you do that to a community, it makes it really hard to fund services like schools and police and fire. So not having the growth that your big cities have puts us in this situation.
what, like you did your research of what surrounding districts are doing comparatively to what we're doing. You want to touch base on that?
Yeah, so Fire District 3, right next to us, they cover Gold Hill, Central Point, White City, Eagle Point. Their tax rate is $3.11. So if we added 30 cents, we took the biggest amount on this page. That takes us to 298. So that still puts us well below them. Fire District 4, which is Shady Cove, just put a levy on the ballot. They increased theirs by 11 cents, which put them at $3.11 also. So we would still be pretty far below our neighbors in tax rate.
So there's 40 houses are being built. What do you think the average value of those houses is?
300,000.
300,000, so that's $12 million. And we can immediately tax them at full assessed value, is that right, for a new house?
Yes.
To 2.6, right, percent, 2.68%. So that's a lot of money. That comes up to $321,600.
40 houses built and 40 houses sold, or maybe a little different story, but
I think you still have to pay
if they're all,
taxes.
if they're the owners to pay taxes on them.
Well, you gotta remember with residential properties, industry is a little different. Industries pays the bills. Residential properties are good and then they grow your tax base, but it also adds demand for service.
And the other thing too is they're on the books, they might start. There's no guarantee that you're gonna see those 40 on the tax roll. So you're kind of budgeting on a wish and a by golly. So yes, hopefully they all show up there and everything. And that would down the road alleviate a necessity, for that increase. But I think what we need to do is look and see what we realistically have currently in our inventory for taxes.
There's been undeveloped building lots scattered throughout our fire district for years that haven't ever been built on residentially, so I mean, that's.
Sure,
It
sure,
is,
I have one, but
yeah, it's
something
definitely
like this where you, sounds like this is a subdivision going in. So there's usually a professional who's game plan with that. That's working on all the connections and making sure that.
Yeah, but like John pointed out, just because they're starting to build all these houses, doesn't mean they're all gonna sell, because most guys don't build a house unless they pretty much got it sold, so they could be
Yeah.
a big lag between when they're sold and when we start seeing some benefit from it.
And a lot of times where they'll get the planning and the permits to build 40 residences, they'll phase them in, like the neighborhood underneath the I-5 overpass, there was one phase and then a second phase. So we could be looking at years down the road before we would actually see that happen.
We thought in 2013, that was gonna be that neighborhood you're talking about was gonna be a really good thing. It was 10 years later before it was. For some years there, that all the infrastructure was in, but it just sat.
Yes, ma'am.
but not.
As a veteran, I get a discount on my taxes, so how does that affect what you get out of back pay? Does that affect the discount that I get, does that affect? Take away?
I don't know the answer. My guess is that if you get a veteran discount, you would continue to get a veteran.
All the city and your percentage of one.
I haven't heard of that. I'm a veteran also, maybe I'll.
Yeah, call the city, in Medford. And tell them you're a veteran and you want to apply for the tax.
Okay.
Find out if it hurts us first.
Yeah, I'm city councilor for 5 years.
Yeah.
But that, even at 40 houses, if you're looking at getting $45 per home, and let's say I pay $35 less for the fire department, you're not getting what you think you are.
Correct.
So that's how I have to look at that in my mind is what does my discount affect fire, ambulance, who does it really affect?
But it would affect fire.
There's a veterans rep shows up at the senior center too, so on
Once a month.
Thursdays, I think it is.
So I don't take it lightly asking our taxpayers to give us more money. That's a hard thing to do. My job is to just give you information. Really, what it boils down to is what level of service do you expect us to provide to you? And what are you willing to pay for? So I'm just trying to present to you what it's going to cost to maintain the level of service that we provide now.
And Chief, what is your recommendation?
I'm gonna go with 30 cents.
You know, I wish we had more time because we really need to do some outreach. I suspect there's a lot of people in the community that will say, I'd really like to support you. I think it's reasonable. I just can't pay any more taxes. I'm sorry, you know,
Understand?
and that's just a feeling. I don't have any numbers to back that up.
Do we know who else is going to the ballot this cycle, school district, or anybody
I don't
else?
have that information.
Yeah.
I can tell you that in May, Fire District 4 increased their levy by 11 cents. Had a pretty positive outcome, about 60% approval. Last year, Fire District 6, which is Evans Valley, increased their levy by 99 cents and passed that with 60% approval. We renewed our capital levy 2 years ago at the same rate that it is currently at, 25 cents. And that was 68% approval, 31% disapproval. Yes, sir.
One thing the homeowners need to recognize is after that big LA fire, the insurance companies are really getting gun shy. We really can't afford it to diminish firefighting crew, you know, because that will make them even more gun shy about keeping people in insurance for their home.
Yes, well said. That's true.
It's a big problem. So do we have any other tax cycles that are gonna fall within this 5-year window other than our normal tax rate? It doesn't come re-up In other words, we can't,
No,
do anything
no.
with that.
Our
In this
capital
window,
was passed last year, and
Yeah,
that's
so
10
it
years.
10, so we're, okay. Was thinking that was it. Okay.
So you can't vote on this tonight, correct?
Right. We can vote.
Okay.
We can discuss and see where we're at, but any vote will have to be at the public meeting Wednesday.
Another thing about the veterans and the taxes, that's between you and the tax assessor's office. I'm pretty sure you would have to notify them. That's who you have to contact. And fill out that form, and then you may not see it on this year, but you probably will see it next year.
Okay. So you said that something has to be voted on at a meeting on Wednesday.
Yes,
Would that include the public?
yes, all our meetings are open to the public,
Is that the
but
one?
I'll warn you, it's at 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
I'll give them a call.
Board vote?
Yeah. And it will go out to a vote in November for everybody.
Right, on the ballot.
Right, what we're voting for is what percentage or
Okay.
what's, how many cents we want to increase it by.
Right.
And then that would go onto the ballot, of which everybody would get a vote on.
Okay, so did you say that with the 30 cents, that would bring us up to 298?
Right.
Per thousand. That would cost you, if you own a $300,000 house, that would cost you an additional $90.
Worth it.
Oh, yeah.
That seems to kind of be the consensus of the folks that are here,
Yeah,
but, and thank you for being here. You're the interested folks that want to participate. I'm not sure, how the community as a whole, but I guess, you put it out there and you find out, right?
So you guys are all advocates for this.
Right.
Right.
Like I said, you guys need to keep a strong fire department going, or the services will be diminished and the insurance companies will become even more gun shy.
One of
Good
the,
point. We should put that in, arguments for approval.
We are graded by the Insurance Services Office, ISO, on a roughly every 10 years. They come in and evaluate the training, the water supply, the communications, the number of personnel, the population, all those factors go into it. And what people don't realize, if we get a bad score on that, if we drop down on that, it drives insurance costs up even more. And so, we try to keep up and keep those costs for the taxpayers down. It's almost like you're either gonna pay the 30 cents here, or you're gonna pay it in insurance costs if we don't do it,
Yeah, the other day, if the money goes in
no, we vote
personnel,
the next one.
start
yeah, so. the
getting
next one,
nervous. We got a wonderful group of people that are
Coming up.
they're gonna go get a job someplace else, and
We're gonna vote on it.
I don't wanna be riding on a fire truck. I don't think you do either.
And then we'll vote on it again.
We gotta think of those guys.
Yeah, give them the support.
So have you ever considered, the news guy from Rogue River Press? It was him that put an argument in there for this as well.
I'm not allowed to argue for it or against it. All I can do is provide information, and I will definitely contact him and give him some information.
What's my last name?
But you,
His name is Brian Mortensen.
I knew it started with an M, yeah. Yeah.
but you folks are welcome to write anything in favor of it. I mean, from the position of a community member, and we appreciate that.
Well, we're gonna take this back to the city council.
That's very helpful when you put, arguments in favor in the voters pamphlet. And the deadline to do that
Page 2.
is September 8th.
Your directors can put something in the voters.
Yes, absolutely.
Maybe we should put one.
Letters to the editors and voters pamphlet things are helpful. Typically have done that as board members. Grants past papers as well as the road paper, we have a lot of overlap with.
So is there,
So the chief has presented us with his recommendation on the 30 cents. We can't take any action tonight, but we all have the information to come back at our board meeting on Wednesday to vote on what we as a board feel is appropriate for that. If there's any other questions or discussions regarding that or anything that the chief can answer in support of his position, be happy to entertain that.
Have you considered any cost savings? Maybe, I know we've gone from 12 to 15 personnel.
yeah, we do have 2 additional personnel that are grant funded in that funding. This is the last year for that. It's hard for us we can go back to our original staffing level, which puts us at minimum staffing almost every shift. And what that does is every time our ambulance goes on a medical call, our fire engine has a single person, which makes it pretty ineffective. How often does that happen? 8 times per day.
When you're at that minimum staffing, does that create a additional overtime liability for you also?
Yes. So with the 2 people we picked up with the capacity grant, we're at minimum staffing less than half. Then, we're pretty busy. Most people don't know that we roll out the door 7 to 8 times per day. So we're one of the busiest stations in the valley. And not only are we going out the door that often, but we're out the door for a long time because our ambulance is transporting people either to Grants Pass or to Medford. If that patient originates in Weimer and goes to Medford, that's a 2-hour call.
Like in the presentation period here, starting in 2024 and moving on through, at least up to say halfway, did you figure a percentage of increase on calls that we're seeing too? Okay.
I can bring that to you.
Because as our costs are increasing, also our workload is increasing too.
So we just changed our fee schedule. Have you been able to factor in the increased revenue from that? Questions?
The only fee that went up was ambulance revenue, and it went up a very small. So it went from like 1,400 to 1,500 maybe, and we don't even get paid for all of that. So the fee increase is really negative.
So it went up 1,500, it went up $100 since 1,500 for a trip to the hospital. But the majority of the people that utilize our services.
Medicare, Medicaid,
Government, so what do they pay?
can you help me with that?
Mm,
Let's call it a third.
a fraction.
That'll get us in the
Yeah,
ballpark.
I think it is about.
Is that projected to stay the same, increase?
That's where the GEMT comes in to try to help with that.
Yeah.
But if that isn't a guaranteed thing, or there's ever a change there, that could be drastic too. Our revenue side, I don't know that there ever will be, but
So
money is tight everywhere.
one of our big personnel increases this year was our retirement. And that went up, what was the
I
percentage?
think it was 29%, wasn't it?
29%. And that's, a lot of that's a function of, we pay a guy $800,000 a year, the state does, to make bad investments. And, but we're not keeping up with the stock market or anything like that. So is that a situation that we think is going to continue with our board?
So I just heard a rumor, and I want to emphasize rumor, that PERS is not adequately funded next year. So if that is true, and I suspect it is, that goes on to agencies to pick up the shortfall. I don't expect it to get better.
So when you have an ambulance go out and let's say the person gets taken to Grants Pass, you send a bill for the ambulance. How many of those bills are outstanding that you don't collect on?
We have a pretty good collection rate, but we don't collect the full amount most of the time.
I know my bill up for that one ride was $400 and I paid it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Hey, I might need a ride next time.
Your bill was probably actually about $2,200.
And the VA probably pays you. So,
VA is good.
yes.
Yeah, if you look on the sheet that Mike gave out on page 4, and the second line down is charges for service,
Mhm.
that's almost all ambulance revenue.
Oh, okay.
That's, and like this past year, we collected 811,000. That means we probably billed, close to 2 million in collecting the 811,000.
Get out of business.
Typically,
Yeah.
it runs about 52%. That's what we collect. We don't have the ability to, nor do we want to, refuse service to anyone.
Right.
We can't refuse service. So, you know, the folks that have insurance are probably paying a disproportionate rate because of the ones we can't collect on. We you know, got to bring in the revenue to keep things afloat. So you keep adjusting your rates artificially, but there's a lot of folks that we transport that have no ability to pay and no insurance and we just, you can't collect on those. Motor vehicle accidents, typically, if they have insurance, pay at a higher rate than it. Medicaid pays, we have as Mike pointed out, Chief pointed out, we have an aging population in the community. So we have a lot of Medicare, Medicaid folks. They pay a much lower percentage than do it. So, yeah, 50%, 52% among there is what we actually collect.
Right, if we don't have any further discussion.
I might mention one more thing on ambulance, and we talk about it every so often. We pointed out the ambulance service area is much larger than the fire district. So the folks in the fire district that are paying taxes, we appreciate that. The ambulance is providing service outside of that. That's why it needs to be a rate structure that is equitable to everyone and not based on the taxpayers of the district.
Can you give those numbers again on how big your district is for fire?
77 square miles for the fire district. The ambulance service area is 200 square miles.
A lot of that's Weimer basically.
Yeah, so if you draw a line from the county line, Grants Pass, over to Gold Hill, and then you go all the way north to Douglas County, that's our ambulance service area. So that's out north of Evans Valley into like the Ramsey Canyon area.
Wow.
There we go.
Okay.
And the other thing just to mention, which and the chief could talk better to it, is we fight structure fires. We're not wildland firefighters. I mean, we take care of our city and our fire districts, typically dwellings and buildings and stuff primarily, although we would respond to something that was started and is getting into interface, but we're not the guys out there fighting forest fires typically.
Alrighty, if there's not any further discussion on this, are there any items that anybody wants to discuss that came up after the agenda was posted? Any public comments? We've kind of made this an interactive type thing, so I hope we've answered a lot of your questions and everything.
Be here at 7:30 with more, with my coffee.
We'll have coffee here for you.
National Night Out was last Tuesday, and we thank you for your participation. And with the success, we're gonna keep doing that the first Tuesday of August. Great job, Doug. Can we get a red fire truck next year?
I'm surprised you didn't get a red fire truck this year. They brought the white one, which we like it. It's nice, but it's not as pretty as the red and black one. So yes, you can have a red, you can have a red and black one next year.
Red black one, all right.
Alrighty. I don't think we have any future agenda items for the workshop, but we do have our meeting coming up on Wednesday, bright and early at 7:30 in the morning. Entertain a motion for adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody.
Good night, Randy.
See you Wednesday. Where
They
you?
don't get much. See, lucky enough to be one of those, what names like Madonna and everything else. You know, Rihanna, easy, yeah.
I'm sorry I didn't get it.
What concerns me about the path we're on is if we're not successful, we've got to come back and say,